All right, let's get this party started, y'all. Thank you so much again for coming. Thank you, Missy. We are so thrilled for the day that's ahead of us today. And before I start to introduce the amazing lineup we have for this keynote session, I wanted to give you a little bit of an explanation around why this summit even happened and how it kind of came together. As Missy alluded to, the goal of this conference truly is to bring together the brightest minds in the industry and have a place where we can all kind of come together and learn from each other, share the best practices, etc. My team works with hundreds of brands every month, and we hear recurring themes from those brands. Long days, late nights, not enough resources, not enough time, and we decided because of that to put this conference together. You guys have all been invited. You're here under the shadow of the beautiful Wasatch Mountains in this amazing facility. And truly, again, the goal is just to bring everyone together and let's figure out a way to innovate our brands and take them to the next level. And we've done exactly that. We have brought together celebrities, accelerators, visionaries, brands. We've done the thing. And so I'm very, very excited for all these speakers to come just blow your mind. And we want to make this a recurring conference. We want this to be a pilgrimage where all brands can come together, and we commit to you that we will continue finding cutting edge speakers and content and the very brightest to come inspire everyone and make it an amazing experience. And that is our commitment to you. So before, again, I bring everyone else on stage, I wanted to speak a little bit about this conference. Like, why Accelerate? What does that actually even mean? Last year, Pattern helped pioneer a new category. We call that category e-commerce acceleration. And therefore, there are a bunch of accelerators born. Our friends at Momentum Commerce, after we announced our press release of funding, put together this fun little comic. And many of you in the audience, if your brands, will know about the aggregator space. They roll up oftentimes Amazon or Walmart, FBA or WFS brands. They put them together and they try to create some economy of scale. This was a massive industry last year. And when we came out with the notion of accelerators, to be good at it as an aggregator, you basically need to be good at two things. You need to have access to capital, and you need to be good at M&A. To be an accelerator, our CEO mentioned at the time, you have to have a wide-ranging set of competencies. Everything from technology to data science to listing management to creative services to brand control. It's much harder, as you all know sitting in the audience, to accelerate a brand than simply buy one on your credit card. So this again is the notion, and accelerators, what they do predominantly, they often buy your inventory, but then they partner with brands to accelerate revenue, to accelerate profitability, to accelerate brand control, and they work with those brands to truly, again, bring them into a place that they couldn't by themselves. The hallmark of working with an accelerator is that you don't have to rip and replace all of your existing infrastructure or your resources or your capital investments or your teams. You actually just kind of layer on top that accelerator and they help you go from there. And it means you don't have to blow up those teams. That's the hardest part about being in e-commerce. And all of you know this. You've got to figure out D2C, you've got to figure out marketplaces, you've got to figure out e-tailing, you've got to figure out international. So most teams we find, in fact, every team we found, no one is 100% equipped to do all the things all the time. And if you will bear with me for a minute, I'm going to go down a nerdy-ass detour. What you're looking at on the screen is a submarine cable. And that submarine cable literally sits on the bottom of the ocean floor, and it's ensconced with a lot of protective stuff. And in the middle of that submarine cable are fiber optic wires, basically, going across the ocean floor. These fiber optic cables are responsible for transmitting signals and data. They literally form the backbone of the internet as we know that. phone calls, emails, Zoom meetings, e-commerce applications, even cat videos on TikTok go across these wires every single second of every single day. And you might be surprised to know there are literally hundreds of these cables plugged in along the ocean floor. That's how the internet actually works. Now, as I mentioned before, these cables are kind of insane because there are only 8 pairs of fiber optic in every single thick submarine cable. And those cables were designed in the fiber optics to run at about 2.5 gigabits per second across a signal. So if you are in the business of laying down submarine cables across the ocean floor, investing tens of millions of dollars to lay down thousands of miles of cable, what you don't want to do is rip all that out every time someone decides to switch from 3G to 4G or to 5G or LTE or whatever it is. You don't want to have to rip all that out. So the question and the dilemma becomes, how do you increase your capacity and throughput and bandwidth without having to rip and replace all of this super expensive stuff? And somewhat ironically, and maybe apropos, since it's Pride Month, the answer is the colors of the rainbow. It's kind of wild. So if you look at one of these submarine cables going across, in this case, Virginia to Spain, there's a wavelength that goes across that fiber pair going at 2.5 gigabits per second. One of the companies I worked for before coming to Pattern developed through deep expertise, technology, and innovation the ability to essentially put optical transport systems on the ends of those networks, light it up, and bring together massive capacity. Not like a little bit more capacity, like 80x the capacity that you would have without ever having to lift up those cables and take them out again. It truly is mind-blowing. And I liken it to the notion of an accelerator. If you are a brand, you're taxed to try to figure out all these different marketplaces, all these different geographies. And if you truly could just put an accelerator on the ends of your infrastructure and light it up and be able to go to, all those different marketplaces, to Taobao and to Tmall and to, Souk and to Walmart and all these other places, it makes a huge difference. And again, just to make a little bit more of an analogy, and I'm sorry, it's just so nerdy, but I just love it. The capacity you get out of switching from a 2.5 gigabit per second one wavelength to a full spectrum solution, basically, where all of those wavelengths are now being fragmented across multiple colors, you actually get up to 800 gigabits per second. And just to put that in context, that's enough to download 22 HD movies per second. That is enough to download all of Call of Duty in 1 second. So this is the technology on which we all operate. And again, all brands here are facing a similar constraint. How do I get more capacity through my team? How do I go to more markets? How do I get more listings? How do I expand my business? The answer, truly, I believe, is to work. If you are a brand today, this is an example of one of our brands. They might be really good at D2C. They might be really good at insights and traffic and conversion and brand control, but their team starts to kind of max out at that D2C layer, or maybe at the Amazon layer. What we do at Pattern and what all accelerators are striving to do is to come in and light up all those acceleration gaps and allow these brands to accelerate like they never have before. And Thorne is in the audience today. They've been an amazing partner. We've had an amazing journey with them. Yogi T is in the audience today, and we've had an amazing journey with them as well. And we work together, and we're partner obsessed, and we just ship this thing and light it up. So that's exactly what we'd like to do with all of y'all today. And if you look at this specific, and hopefully the folks at Yogi don't kill me for doing this, if you look at this little logo, you will notice a slight P. That's the Pattern Piagonal at the top of that. The significance of that for us is that we want to be an accelerator for Yogi T. We want to be an exponent to their growth. We want to be up there and be an exponent and exponentially grow that brand as much as we can. And a little bit of an Easter egg as you go out throughout the next 2 days is that the Acceleration Summit logo itself, you'll notice that 22, this will work here, maybe next slide. You will notice on the Acceleration logo that little 22, and indeed, that is the same exponent. So as you go along the next couple of days, think about how you can exponentially grow your business. That might come from working with an accelerator. That might come from stopping by these amazing sponsors that are here. It might be by sitting next to someone at casino night or at dinner and learning everything that's happening so that you can walk away from here and again, exponentially grow this business.